Hello, and welcome to another GIS report, reporting for the Ministry of Health and Social Development. I am Public Health Communications Specialist Natasha Letsom. Today on the program, we have with us Division Head of Family, Children, and Protective Services, Ms. Stacy Stout James, who will be sharing some information on the foster care system and also tell you, our viewing audience, how you can become involved. Later on in the program, we will also be speaking with some foster parents who will share their experiences with you. So, Ms. James, thank you for joining the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we're here to speak about foster care in the territory. To get us started, tell us, what is foster care?
Foster care, Ms. Letsom, is a system in which a minor is placed in a private home in a government-certified with a government-certified parent. That parent is called a foster parent or a foster carer. Mm-hmm. Now, for government, social services, primary social services, social development is the primary social services and act on behalf of the government in that instance. Now, the government, via the family court and social development department, stands in local parentis. Now, local parentis just simply means in place of a parent. Mm-hmm. And so they would make all the legal arrangements in relation to that child, whereas the foster carer or the foster parent will handle the day-to-day operations or the day-to-day care of that minor.
Mm-hmm. Now, explain to us a bit how social development uses the system.
Well, like I said before, once it comes to our knowledge that a child may be in need of what we would call care and protection, an application is made to the court. The court then, after hearing the current circumstances of why that child is in need of care and protection, then the court will decide whether or not that child should come into care. Mm-hmm. Once that child comes into care, then we look at either residential placement. I know that you're familiar with Rainbow Children's Home. Mm-hmm. Or we would look at kinship care, that's a type of foster care, or stranger placement, which is a type of foster care as well.
Mm-hmm. So when do you use the Rainbow Children's Home as opposed to the Kindred or?
Kinship.
Kinship.
Okay, mm-hmm. Well, Rainbow Children's Home is our last resort. Mm-hmm. We do what we call at social development a diligent search. So once we know that this child will come into care, we search for the non-offending parent, godparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. You know, we do a diligent search and basically approach those persons first. Mm-hmm. And let them know what the presenting circumstances are and see whether or not they will be willing to assist. If not, then Rainbow Children's Home would be the option. But Rainbow Children's Home is always our last resort.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, speak a bit about the foster parent versus the adoptive parent, and when can you cross over? Speak a bit about that arrangement.
Well, currently adoptive parent, I've explained to you what foster parenting is already, but currently adoption and being an adoptive parent is a private matter in a territory. So whereas we go through the court, an application is made in relation to a child coming into care. When it comes to foster care, if somebody gives birth to a baby, for instance, and wants to give up their right as a parent, then, you know, that stuff is done privately. Now, we've had instances where we've had children who are in care who end up becoming adopted. Once they're adopted, the state no longer has a say into the day-to-day the medical arrangements or day-to-day operations of the child. Mm-hmm. They don't get any kind of assistance from government. You know, you take on that child wholly and solely. The child's last name is changed to yours, and it goes through the High Court, the Supreme Court. So that child is automatically yours, freely and solely.
So how can a person become a foster parent?
Well, there's a process. If they're interested, we encourage persons to come in and have a conversation with us first and foremost, so we can explain what the process is like, and so that they can understand and answer any questions they might have as it relates to the process. They would also have to submit an intake application. They would also have to provide us with a police certificate. They would have to provide us with a detailed medical report. Provide us with 2 character references, if I could remember correctly. They also have to provide like birth certificate, if they're married, their marriage license, and some other documents we would need to make sure that they're in a position to care for a child.
Now, from the government perspective, what are you actually looking for in suitable parents as part of this foster system?
Patience. A lot of these children who come to us are emotionally and at times have behavioral issues and require a lot of patience and a loving home environment, a stable home environment, just wanting to open your heart and your home to somebody who might be in need, to a child who might be in need. Being willing to work with our office as well as work with the biological parents. At times, most oftentimes we look at reunification of these children with their parents. It is not always, it doesn't always happen that way. But, these parents always have to follow what we call a treatment plan, both for us and for the court system. And so we want persons to be able to work with the biological parents in order to be reunified with their children. Because you would have to understand and have to appreciate that it would be a difficult thing for them as well. And so, we understand that that parenting is challenging and that none of us are perfect. But if we work together as a community, us, foster carer, and the parents, we can do what is in the best interest of that child.
Now, outside of the things you mentioned in terms of having patience and being able to provide that loving atmosphere for these children, are there any eligibility requirements that you use in determining whether an application is approved or not?
Well, after we've gone through the intake process and we've provided all that information, they bring back in all that information to us, and they go on a waiting list. Now, before they go on that waiting list, all applications go through the Chief Social Development Officer, and the Chief Social Development Officer determines who goes in that pool of persons that go on the waiting list.
Now, holistically, how do you see this system benefiting the children?
You're helping children, first and foremost, to have better lives. You're providing them with a stable home environment. And even if you only have that child for a short period of time, you are teaching that child lifelong lessons and to set positive examples on how a positive family system should function. So, it's more than just providing shelter and providing food, but reconditioning sometimes, it is required sometimes to recondition our children and see how some positive home environments look like and how, you behave effectively.
Now, earlier you spoke about the term of the foster care. It can be a short term or it can be a longer term. How do you determine when it's going to be short or long? How do you determine that?
Well, most oftentimes that stuff is determined by the court. Like I said, we go through the court. We have in our community now 3 sets of foster carers. One set who receive government funding and are court ordered, another set that are court ordered but don't receive government funding. Most oftentimes you would find those children are what we call in kinship care. Kinship just simply means with a family member or with another parent. In some instances, we have parents who are in very volatile relationships and require us to go to court and file an application in the best interest of that child because they just can't get it together on their own. And so in those instances, that other parent would not necessarily depend on department's assistance, right? And so it is determined, we have adjournment dates, we have to go back to court, and the court will determine based on the information that we bring to them. The information at times court requires from us are updated home assessments, checking in with the schools, making sure that parents are getting along. If they're requested to do mediation, for instance, or some kind of anger management, some kind of parenting classes, if that stuff is done. So once we're updating the court on what is happening, the court then makes the ultimate decision whether or not that that relationship is long-term or short-term, or whether or not we need to adjourn again for another 6 months or adjourn again for another year, and let's continue to work with the family.
Okay, now you alluded a bit to it, but what type of services, how do you assist these you as a social development department, assist foster parents with the children?
Well, we provide training, like the training we have coming up in November. What we're trying to do now is to have all our homes that our children are in certified as one of the policies now within the department. Outside of that, there's a small stipend that goes along with caring for children, most oftentimes with those persons who are not in kinship care. Every child is given a caseworker, so if there's difficulties with the day-to-day care of that child, the caseworker will, assist the parents with that. Sometimes, like I said, there's some behavioral issues. Some of our kids are in counseling. The case manager would facilitate that process. Some kids require other services, like speech therapy and other kind of things like that. That is the case manager's responsibility. So social development department acts as that support system. At times we have some foster parents who might be having a difficult time. Maybe they had their child from baby, like one of our guests that you're going to talk to today. And, once that child come of a certain age, of course, they would have questions, about whether or not you're my real mommy. And, we provide certain books or give certain suggestions on how they can go about introducing those kind of conversations with the kids.
Okay. Definitely sounds like a lot that you guys have on your plate in terms of providing this much needed care to the territory's children. You spoke a bit about a training you have coming up in November. Take us a bit more in depth, and what are your objectives?
Well, we have an in-service training for our social workers on November 4th and 5th at the Red Cross training room all day. And then that following Monday, November 9th to 13th, we are going to have a service training for our prospective foster and adoptive parents and our existing foster carers. We have a lady by the name of Clarissa Benjamin Smith. Mrs. Smith has over 20 years experience in social services. She's a daughter of the soil. She currently resides in the U.S. and she's returning to do the in-service training for us. As it relates to the objective, one of the main things we want to see this training do is to have our parents learn a variety of skills to parent children who are behaviorally and emotionally challenged. One of, some of the challenges we continue to see over the years is that the problems continue to be complex and continue to get more complex. And so you need persons who are skilled to deal with the challenges that some of these children come with, and some of the challenges that some of the difficulties they might have been exposed to in their other home settings, and be able to handle those difficulties.
Now, how will this course benefit your existing foster carers and those prospective ones that you're seeking to come on board?
Well, it gives them an opportunity to learn about the role and responsibility of foster caring. It also provides them with the knowledge of how the system works, what support services you can expect from social development department. On the flip side, that training that we have for the social workers too, for them to kind of get a better understanding, for them to continue their development in working with our families, in having the patience to work with our foster parents and our biological parents to make sure that we as social services continue to look at what is in the best interest of that minor child.
And from lessons learned and your past experiences over the years, how do you see that foster carer and that parent? How do you see that connection? And do you think that is an area that you need to, kind of form more healthy relationships with that to ensure that the child does know both sides?
Well, the child, most oftentimes they do. It is never our intention to alienate them from their biological families. In some instances, it requires supervised visits. Some instances, it doesn't require supervised visit. And then there are other times when we're not even involved. And because the biological parents are not hostile, they're allowed to go to the foster parents' home, they're allowed to do things together as a family outside. We encourage that. So, like I said before, Natasha, our main aim is to look at what is in that child's best interest.
Where would you like to see foster care evolve to here in the territory?
I would like to see, currently we don't have any respite care. When I say respite, like I said before, fostering, it has its challenges, and at times, persons, we have some foster carers now who have more than one child in their home, in their private home. And at times they require some time off. So I would like to see us move to a place where we would have some kind of respite system in place where the kids can probably go for a weekend over at a family member's house or something, so that foster carer could get some relaxation and rejuvenate and have them come back to them. But overall, I think that our system works. I think that we have a very good relationship with our biological parents and our foster parents. And I think that everybody understands what their role and responsibilities are. In the first instance, at times, it can be a bit volatile. And once, the parents understands that we're looking at what is in their child's best interest. Maybe, they're having some mental challenges or some mental health issues, and they're not in a good place right now, and we're just here to help and support them as they go through, whatever they need to go through, and have us be there for them.
Okay, now I will leave you with this opportunity to make any final comments.
Well, I would like, if I can, to encourage the public. Now is the opportune time. If you're interested in becoming a foster carer, in becoming a foster parent, we use that word one and the same, please make contact with us before November 4th. We would love to have a conversation with you. We would love to have you be a part of this training that we have coming up. Like I said before, we're trying to have all our homes now certified. And in order for you to be certified, you need to go through this mandatory training that we have in. So I will encourage, anybody who is interested to make contact with myself, Stacey Stout James at 468-3636, or Laurel Freeman, or Mrs. Annie Malone Fred, who is our Chief Social Development Officer. And any one of us will be more than willing to have a conversation with you in the first instance and provide you with the paperwork you would need, and that is required in order to get you into the training.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Stout, for coming on the program today to share this information with us regarding foster care in the territory and your upcoming training.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
me. Thank you.
No problem. Right now, we have to take a commercial break. When we come back, we will meet 2 foster carers. Stay tuned.
Carry me back to them old time days. Carry me back to them sweet old days. Carry me back where you can be the change to join the fight to end domestic violence. Carry me back to them old time days.
Success will come when?
The societal norms and attitude
Changes towards domestic violence.
We are changing the world one note at a time.
Change to join the fight to end domestic violence. You can be the change.
This message has been brought to you by the Office of Gender Affairs and the Family Support Network in observance of Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
There is never a reason for any man to be violent towards any woman. Love her. Don't abuse her. The people who could do the most to improve the situation of so many women and children are in fact men. It's in all hands to stop domestic violence. Join the fight to end violence. You can be the change.
This message has been brought to you by the Office of Gender Affairs and the Family Support Network in observance of Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Welcome back to the program. Now we have with us Ms. Rochelle Smith and Ms. Julie Malone here to share their experiences as foster parents. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Now tell us, what made you, Ms. Smith, decide to become a foster parent?
Well, I spent some time as a mentor in the Big Brother, Big Sister program, and I was encouraged to consider becoming a foster parent. Prior to that, I hadn't known we had such a system here, and I looked into it, and I decided it's something that I wanted to do, and I went through my process.
Nice. Ms. Malone?
As Ms. Smith indicated, I wasn't aware that there was such a program, but I became aware shortly after I had a death in my family that this child would become available for foster care. And I too went to social development and put in my application to be considered for the child to be placed with me.
Mm-hmm. Now you alluded to the process. Can you share a bit about how that process went for you? What did you have to do to become a foster parent?
It was fairly straightforward. There is an application and some testimonials on your behalf are required. I acquired those. There is also a police report. I acquired that and I submitted the package, and I was advised that I was selected and that my application was approved. So it was very simple and straightforward for me.
Mm-hmm. And for you?
The same thing. I had to also, along with the police report and a short application, I had to do a medical report. And it wasn't a long process. It was rather short, and I too was told that my application was successful and the baby was placed with me.
Okay, so now it seems like we're talking about two different things. Yours don't seem to me as it was adoptive care and yours foster care. Is there a difference? Because one seemed a little bit more long-term.
Sorry, mine was for the foster care
foster
program.
care. I think we're both foster care.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay. So is there a time limit on how long you could provide that care for that child as a foster parent?
As far as I'm aware, no. I was told that because I've made inquiries on several occasions as to how long the child would be with me, and I was told until college and beyond, so she's with me on a permanent basis.
Yeah. I think it depends on the circumstances, because mine has turned out to be long-term as well, but I believe the circumstances dictate whether or not it's a short-term or long-term placement.
Okay. So if you don't mind me asking, how long have you both been foster parents?
I've been a foster parent for about 6 years this year.
All right, nice.
And me 5 years this year.
Okay, awesome. So for parents, you shared a lot of information so far, and the overall theme seemed to be that people are not aware that this system does exist here in the territory. So how has your experience been as a foster parent? How has it enhanced your life and that of your family? Ms. Smith?
Well, I often tell people, that if I had to do it all over again, even with the challenges, I would do it because it's been a great experience overall. My daughter is a joy. She's a joy, and she's added a lot to my life personally and to the life of my family. So it's been a great experience. There have been some challenges along the way, but I don't believe that the challenges that I've experienced are much different from the challenges experienced by any other parent. So overall, it's been a pleasant experience for me.
It has been a pleasant experience for me as well. My little girl, oh wow, she's awesome. She has added, at the point of in my life when I got her, I was in a very bad place, and she was able to, enhance my life and that of my daughter. And it comes with the various challenges, terrible twos and different things, and she could be quite a handful, but I love her as if she's my own child, and I will do it again if I have to.
Awesome. How has the other kids benefited, your other children or other small children in the household? How do you see them, forming that bond with the adoptive or foster care child?
Well, the foster child, she's the youngest one. My daughter is an adult. And recently she had a baby, and she is overjoyed with this baby. She's able to bring things for her and get her clothes, and when she's crying, she sings to her. So they're forming a good relationship.
And my daughter is the only child, so she runs the roost.
Sounds like she's spoiled. Now, the both of you alluded a bit to challenges. Outside of the terrible twos and what's not, any lessons you learned from the challenges that would aid or help prospective or other foster parents to actually keep going on in the program and, to continue to provide those needed services?
My challenges haven't been so much with her as a foster child. I think it's just challenges with a child. I do believe, though, that foster parents could benefit from support and mentorship, and just being there for each other, and sharing experiences, sharing lessons, so that when you're going through something, you can you'll know, well, someone else has experienced it, and even if you don't handle it in the same way, you'll know that it's not something that you're doing poorly, or that because you've had limited experience, you're not doing it in the correct way. So that would be my what I think should be added to help.
I don't have any challenges with Casey. My only concern is the relationship with her other siblings. I would like to see something put in place where she could interact with them on a regular basis so she could get to know them. But challenges, I don't have any, really.
Now, my final question to you ladies, would you recommend this to anyone else? And how would you encourage more persons to become a part of the foster care system?
I would encourage other persons in the community to become a part of the program. I think in our community, we're very used to sitting down and complaining about the problems and the social issues that we have in our community and getting in our pockets and, being very critical. And a lot of us don't step outside of ourselves and try to do anything to help. Becoming a foster parent may not be for everyone, but I believe that there are some people in this community who do have the home and the personality and the character and the love that can enhance the life of a young person in this community. And I believe that more people need to apply in order to help to enhance the social fabric of our community.
Thank you. Ms. Malone?
I would encourage people to become foster parent. It's a very rewarding and a good program because you have the life of a young child to mold and to watch them grow and succeed in, encouraging them and whatever. You may feel that this is not my child and I shouldn't have a place in my heart for this child. But no, when you take this child in, she becomes a part of you, and you can set an example for her introduce her to, new things and try to help her decide what she would want to become in life. So I think it's a good program. And I would encourage anyone to consider becoming a foster parent. If you want information, you could contact me and I'll sit down personally and tell you about my experience and introduce you to my little girl and see what a pleasure it is to raise a foster child.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming on the program today to share this experience with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this GIS report where we spoke about the foster care system in the BVI. We are reminding you to take part in the foster care and adoptive training session for prospective foster and adoptive parents and existing foster parents from the 9th to the 13th of November from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon daily. And this is going to take place at the Red Cross Conference Room. For more information, contact the Social Development Department at 468-3636. Become a foster parent today. Reporting for the Ministry of Health and Social Development, I am Public Health Communications Specialist Natasha Letzam. Thank you for tuning in.